wrong already because she announced to 1,000 people that the class was at 4:30, and a whole group. That was intent. That was the first test to see whether you needed yoga or not. And this is the second best yoga teacher in the world is Rosalind Atkinson. Rosalind? Yeah. And Christine is the third best.
As we know, yoga was all about ranking things.
Yeah. And are you the first best?
Well, that is, I don't want to say that. I can't say that.
I just wonder.
But, Rosalind is my wife and partner in crime. Yeah. So I'm very grateful that you're all here and that we're here together. And this place for me is, she came in 1974, I came in 1973 to Arunachala, and it was Ramana who brought us here. And I've been back here 2 times, and it is Ramana that brought me here, and Krishnamacharya who brought me here. And Krishnamacharya was nearby in Chennai, then known as Madras, and Ramana was here. But I learnt of Krishnamacharya by coming here. So Ramana brought me to Krishnamacharya. And that's the profundity for me of this meeting. Right? Ramana brought me to Krishnamacharya.
Mm.
And I studied hard with Krishnamacharya and his son Desikachar for a long, long time, since 1973. And we put out a book for Desikachar and Krishnamacharya. Well, he died in 1989. So he's a modern sage of our own time. You know, I think we were all alive in 1989 looking at the group. Were you, sir? Right, okay.
I wasn't.
You were not, so okay. I'm glad there was one person who, you're just a kid here on the block. So, see, he's of our own time, as Ramana is of our own time. And I find that extraordinary that we are here and these great people were here too. You know, and we're in the momentum of that, of what they brought forth. So the whole thing is very interesting to me, what Ramana was as a, Krishnamacharya called him a white spot on a white page of Veda, of the book of Veda, and Ramana was a white spot on a white page, like indivisible from the whole thing that is Veda. And so this was Krishnamacharya's regard of Ramana. You know. But what's interesting to me is that Krishnamacharya is known as perhaps the greatest religious scholar of India of recent times, of modern times, and a great yogi of India, right? And you know, just in case you don't know, so Krishnamacharya is the grandfather of modern yoga. The yoga industry that began in LA, or actually it began in Switzerland. That's when the problem started. When Mr. Iyengar, as a very young man, was invited by Yehudi Menuhin to go to Zaman and teach in 1954 for the first time, first trip to Europe. And then this yoga industry started. Mr. Iyengar was a very young man. He was a student of Krishnamacharya at Mysore, you see, down the road. And he was the Maharaja of Mysore, Krishnaraj Wadiyar IV, became a student of Krishnamacharya and the patron of Krishnamacharya, and provided a very glamorous yogashala where Krishnamacharya taught for years and years, and taught Iyengar and taught Pattabhi Joyce. And these young men ran away and created an industry. The yoga whole thing of, you know it. By the way, I'm very pleased to have an authentic Indian.
Really authentic.
Yeah. No, you are ethnically, indigenously. You are authentic. Though she was born in California, but she's still because where are you from?
From Argentina.
Yes, good. You see, it's a very big deal, and it often happens. There was one young couple in California, Vishnu and Priti, and he worked for Apple and she worked for Google. They were from Chennai. So they had heard of Krishnamacharya just as a public name person. And they were in California for some years, making money in the glitter and gold of the West. And then they came to me and said, please teach us yoga. At that time, they were, I'm sure this is relevant to you in some kind of way, they had sort of finished with the superstitious religion of their parents and the whole stuckness of, cultural behavioralism. So like, we're finished with that, we're in the West now, we're amazing. And there was a big divide there. They'd just finished with everything, finished with India. So they got their yoga, and quite soon they began to look at their family's religion through the lens of yoga. And of course what it did, it changed it from religious exoteric behavior and superstition, the stranglehold of religious thinking, to esoteric participation in their family deities. And then they came back to Madras, to Chennai, and made peace with mum and dad. It was so beautiful. And now there's a continuity. Yoga does that. It changes exoteric religious behavioralism to esoteric participation in God. It changes it from belief in God as other to participation in God as every arising condition, like that. So anyway, this yoga of Krishnamacharya that I was studying since 1973, and then made a book for Discourse called The Heart of Yoga. That's there, and it's gone into many languages, and it's kind of the Bible of yoga. And it really has nothing to do with the yoga industry as it was manifest as mediocre gymnastics in the West, which is what it is. This yoga came along, and Krishnamacharya was saying, from the point of view of a very sincere scholarship, a religious scholarship of Veda, of Vedic life and Vedic realization. In the time of Ramana, he was politely saying as a scholar, there must be yoga. If there is inspiration or transmission of grace from a realizer, that's the problem that I want to discuss with you. where he said there must be yoga. He said the spontaneous and causeless arising of realizers such as Ramana and Vedic culture could not be accounted for in any way whatsoever. They just happened. And their state cannot be duplicated by an ordinary mind. Cannot be duplicated. When U.G. Krishnamurti, who I consider to be an avatar, a realizer, when he went and met Ramana in the age of 21, he was such an earnest young man. He was being raised in Madras by his grandfather. He was close to the Theosophical Society, and he knew all the pundits and saints and sages. He was a very, very serious young man. And they're like, what is this enlightenment? What is it? What is it? And then one friend persuaded him to come and meet Ramana. And he sat with Ramana and he said, do you have enlightenment, and can you give it to me? Fair question from an earnest 21-year-old Indian boy. And they sat there together, and Ramana said, yes, I am, but can you take it? That's what he said. Can you take it? What U.G. Krishnamurti realized is that he couldn't take it. There was no faculty in him that it's kind of like an oxymoron. The separate self that's asking that question cannot. And with great respect, even, see, you described this, the question of who am I? Every time you ask that question, you're creating the persona that is asking the question. And so it creates a whole thought structure of a separate self trying to get realized. This statement from Ramana to U.G., can you take it? The answer being, no, you can't. This thought structure of the imagined person that thinks you can be spiritual is the problem. That there is, the questioner is the problem. So Krishnamacharya is saying this phenomena of the so-called liberated person in Vedic culture, that Ramana was an extreme example of a white page, a white spot on a white page, was a causeless happening that cannot be duplicated. Is everybody with me? However, they are there. You go and meet Shirdi Sai Baba, something happens. You go and meet Ramana, something happens. I want to say, go and see Patrick O'Connor, something happens. You know? Or any of it, go see Adidas Samraj. Something is there. So they are there. It's just that us ordinary people, us presumed persons who feel that we are separate from reality somehow, you know, we just feel like we're separate people trying to get something, you know, trying to become something, you know. We, you and me as separate people, cannot get there. You can't get there. And I think that is deeply helpful to understand, that you can't get there. Forget about it. You can't get there. Is that all right? Like, what, isn't it a relief?
A relief that I can't get there? Yeah.
Yeah, that person's going, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? You know, every time you ask the question, you are creating the separate self, trying to get to some idea. What Krishnamacharya is saying, there must be yoga. If you've received grace, see, he described yoga as the Vedic response to grace. If you've all come into the company of Shirdi or Adida Samraj or Ramana or Anandamai Ma, you know, Patrick O'Connor, Neem Karoli Baba, Baba Ramdas, you know, the list is large, and something touches you. And you do receive grace, and you might even have, and I'm sure we all have had extraordinary experience of something, the mind dissolving and the body full of light, things like that have happened for us, right? And then something goes on in the mind, and then it stops. You know, you have a samadhi, you have your graceful experience, you have your samadhi, then it stops, right? And then you're deep in the shit, like a drug addict. And you try to get it, try to get it, try to get it. And trying to get it is creating the separate self that's trying to get it. It's a dreadful conundrum. Krishnamacharya's words is, if you've been inspired, but you don't have the tools to actualize that inspiration, you are better not to have been inspired in the first place. Because it causes misery. So I'm just quoting Krishnamacharya. You know, by the way, who is Krishnamacharya? He's the grandfather of modern yoga. He is Iyengar's guru. And Pattabhi, this is not some yoga dude with a yoga point of view. This is Krishnamacharya, the greatest religious scholar of India, saying, if you've been inspired, but you don't have the practical tools to respond to that inspiration, you're better not to have been inspired. The practical tool being the Vedic yoga. And so the grace comes and, okay, good. Now be intimate with what has been recognized in the company of Ramana. And if you don't have that, the yoga of participation in the given reality, what you have is the mind struggling to get something again. And I think, you know, my observation being here is that, you know, among Indian and Western seekers, that's what I see. There's a sort of an earnest seeking going on, but I feel a sort of an isolation in the individuals who are doing that. You know. Does anybody else feel that? We're all looking to God, looking to God, looking to Ramana, looking, you know. This religious activity is going on, you know. But Krishnamacharya, at the same time of Ramana, two, you know, great personalities of Vedic culture, living 3 hours drive from each other, Krishnamacharya is saying that there must be yoga if you've been graced by the company of Ramana. And the yoga is your response. Now, see, he is talking like this as a scholar of Veda. You know, he was born into a family of Vedantic scholars. You know, as you trace his lineage, it goes to Nata Muni of South India here, and Nata Muni was the person who collated all the literature of the Alvas, the Vaishnava saints, the 5th to the 8th century, and the whole culture of bhakti devotion. And Nata Muni was the scribe who brought that all together, and he was like Tulsidas of the Ramayana. You know, he brought it all together. And so Krishnamacharya's biological lineage goes to Nata Muni. Now, Krishnamacharya was in this culture of South India, deeply familiar with his own religious background, which was the Alvars and the Vaishnava bhakti devotional culture that, you know, culminated in the Shankaracharyas and the teachings of Advaita Vedanta. Advait, not two, only one. There's only one reality, as you and me. So he was informed by all of this South Indian mysticism and cultures of realization, including the Siddha yogis, including the Sri Vidya, the left-handed tantric path that is also here in South India. That's a little bit disgusting, of ill repute, of sex and wine and meat and all that stuff that's still going on, actually. You go to Madras and there's men in business suits that look very respectable. You go into their homes and you see what's happening, and there's some serious goddess worship going on and questionable activities, you know. They're still there. So Krishnamacharya was, I'm making the case here for you, I want to make to you, that he was deeply informed. And this is when I met Patrick O'Connor, I found it very interesting his background and where he's coming from. And he's obviously had a profound connection to the cultures of South India, be they the Vaishnava Bhakti culture or the Siddha yogis, more wild ones, the ones that have walked out of the temples and have an argument with orthodoxy. And that he's obviously had that connection to them, this profound recognition that you cannot separate material from spirit. You cannot, but we do. The problem of humanity. So Krishnamacharya had realized the cultures of South India. He went to Varanasi for 11 years as a young man, coming from a family of pundits that go back to the 9th century to Nata Muni, and he went up to Varanasi, the hub of the Hindu scholarship, you know, the Hindu universities, the tantric universities. For 11 years he studied the darshanas, all the philosophical systems of ancient India. And at the end of that time, he had a problem, and that was there must be yoga. His own Guru Parampara within Vaishnavism, Ramanuja Acharya, the second great Acharya of Vedanta, there was Adi Shankaracharya, the next came along was Ramanuja Acharya. Ramanuja Acharya said, yes, there is only God. My guru is right, there is only God, but there's a problem of mind that is assuming separation. That's the problem. He said yoga in the 10th century, Ramanuja, the Acharya, and these people like avatars, they're not just ordinary yoga dudes, they're avatars of Veda, of Vedanta. And he's saying, there must be yoga. If grace comes into your life, then yoga is what you do in response to that grace. And yoga is intimacy with tangible conditions, starting with your body and breath. That's what yoga is. Daily, non-obsessive, actual and natural, intimate participation in what life actually is, right? Is yoga, is what you do if Ramana has blessed you. You don't sit there trying to duplicate that blessing, trying to make something happen. The U.G. Krishnamurti said, nothing need happen, and nothing should happen. The idea of something needing to happen is our problem. I have to tell you something else too, further. He's saying the whole idea of enlightenment is the problem. And the enlightened person is the problem. That is creating the presumption of non-enlightenment. And I feel like we need to come to our gurus with that understanding. I wonder if you hear what I'm saying, the presumption of enlightenment, the cultural idea that there's an enlightened person. And then the individual who is holding that as a social phenomenon. That U.G. called it the social dynamic of disempowerment. The whole idea of the special person on a chair and then the audience. And the special person on the chair holds something that the audience doesn't, and the audience is trying to get it with the arbitrary methods, cultural methods, meditation and all the rest of it, of trying to get it. Is the form of society, is the form of the world, including the secular world. You know, Trumpism and all the rest of it is the same model of there's a person who's got it and everybody else who doesn't have it. And the whole life is organized, our civilization, whether it's in the religious format or the secular format, is doing that. That they have it, I don't. And then the mind of the separate self that is created in that model. Are you ready to accept that? One authentic Indian in the room.
Fully accepted.
Yeah, good. And I'm not, that doesn't mean that you sort of walk out of there or walk away from any particular teaching source. Then you actually have access to it then. You actually have access to Ramana. If you're not mentally and emotionally operating in that model of he has it and I don't. And you talk to any of these beautiful people, they are, what's their main message? That everything is God. You are God, I am God, the trees are God. Life is perfectly expressing itself through you and me and the trees, isn't it? So where is the question of trying to get enlightened? Where is the question of he has it but I don't? See, it's an artificially created question. Even God is a question, artificially created. Right, here is God. There is God. So even that question drops out of our system in that hierarchical idea that there is enlightenment, that somebody has it and somebody doesn't. Or somebody is teaching and somebody else isn't. That goes. is profound influence from the Krishnamurtis, J. Krishnamurti and UG Krishnamurti, on my teacher Discourse, that if there is a guru, the guru is no more than a friend and no less than a friend. Right? And really, not just like an idea, not like a concept, that must be there. And then two friends are in the singularity, sufficiency of the relationship itself. So you're saying once that relationship happened, you walk into the room of Ramana, the green tiles there and the clock's ticking and he's sitting there. It's like, okay, we're in relationship. I love this man. This man obviously loves me. Done. Over. Finished. I'm the same as him, he's the same as me. That recognition. Not the beginning of some search to try to duplicate the special experience that you've had. Not there. What do you do then? Because this monkey mind is continuing on that we inherited from our families and society and everything. It goes on and on and on. Well, see, the Krishnamacharya scholarly instruction was that if you've received grace, then do your yoga. That's it, end of story. Because yoga is to participate in what you have recognized. If you recognize that there's only God, and it's a kind of an obvious recognition, isn't it? Like, look at you, look at me, look at the trees, look at the sun, it's like, okay. Someone once said the only true Buddhist meditation is the recognition of beauty. And suddenly it's like, fuck, done. That doesn't have to put me on the merry-go-round of trying to duplicate something to some cultural idea of a permanent enlightenment, which is what usually happens. See, you go and see Shirdi, and it's like that. It's one time. Oh, okay, then that's it. It's done. As soon as you're put on that cultural merry-go-round of having to re-realize it, this separate self that needs to realize it, that effort is creating more separate self and misery. The misery of human life. To be put on that merry-go-round, to have to re-realize some initiating experience that you've had. So you've had the initiating experience, now you do your yoga practice. That's the whole thing. So when I was with Krishnamacharya and a lover of Ramana, I would come down here and I'd bring groups down here, yoga groups, and we all come down here and have a lovely time. There was this question, and it's still the question. And I'm very privileged to, I met Christine here. We had no plans at all. I didn't even know she was here. We were here like, you're here? What? And to have this opportunity to teach the yoga here. I've done it once in a small group that were here on the rooftop the other night. And we're doing it again, and nobody's getting out of here alive. You're all going to be given the principles of this response to grace, yoga, whole body participation in what life actually is. Right? So you can take it away and do it tomorrow morning if you choose to, and then the next day and the next day and the next day. And stop bullying yourself with this idea that you're not enlightened. and certainly not bullying yourself with the mediocrity of the yoga industry that has come up from the naivety of Mr. Iyengar's initial visit to Europe, you know, and all the business that happened around that. Just young boys without the actual yoga education. Yeah. And, you know, for very valid reason, people who have become interested in Advaita Vedanta or these high gurus who have been here, they're not interested in yoga because you look at it and it's just silly. Putting yourself in these exaggerated shapes. Why do you want to do that? So they dismiss it. Or the Buddhists, they dismiss it for some idea of a higher practice called meditation. But it's such a shame that this yoga education has not come through into serious spiritual adepts that you are. It hasn't come through, and it needs to come through. I was very interested to meet this man Patrick and what he's doing and what he's teaching. I understood the authenticity of his background and what's inspired him and moved him and given him the ability to do what he's doing. And what I experienced there was yoga was happening. You know, those of us who were there, you lay down and you did some heavy breathing, remember, 33 breaths and all that. It's yoga, except there's no actual yoga scholarship there or an understanding how you actually do that yoga. What do you do? But see, I'm saying if you go to, say, Patrick, and you feel bring your whole materiality, including including all the emotions and all the mind, you know, and bring it to this total spectrum of reality, which is the absolute condition, which is the unity condition of light, and bring it all together as there's only one, you know, Advaita, there's only one thing happening. Well, how do you do that? And that's the point about yoga. Bring your body, the flesh, the breath, to reality, to what life actually is, including all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the ideas that you are a suffering separate self, all of that, you bring it to what life actually is. And this is the alchemical process of yoga, and what the siddhas of South India were talking about, what the alvas were talking about. They were talking about in slightly different cultural languages, even what the Sri Vidya tantric culture is talking about. Slightly different language, slightly different method, but they are talking about what you do if you've been moved by the vision of God. Not to seek for God, but to practice in God. And that's what yoga is. So Krishnamacharya went all over, you know, after Varanasi, 11 years. He had this problem that in his own Guru Parampara of the 10th century, Ramanuja Acharya said there must be yoga to deal with the mind that is assuming separation. Yes, there is only God, but the mind is assuming separation. So this yoga asana and pranayama from the 10th century in South India became a vital part of Vaishnava bhakti culture. It was there, it was a temple practice. And all that, you know, in the brahmacharya stage of life, all the, you know, 21 to 28, you became schooled in yoga and in Vedic chanting and all of this. And what he did is, because he couldn't find yoga in India, which is another whole, we could write a book about that, what happened in India after the 14th century And in the years of colonialism in India, something sort of bad happened about the guru system. The guru became a public authority, and the tantras were eliminated and yoga was eliminated. Hindu religion was elevated, and the gurus became public control mechanisms. Right, you know about this, right? And the yoga left. So when Krishnamacharya looked around as a young man in Varanasi after his years of study, and Ramanuja saying there must be yoga, and yoga is one of the great darshanas, the 6 darshanas, yoga is one of them. Where's yoga in India? And he couldn't find it. Then he heard about his guru, Rama Mohan Brahmachari, and he went there and he studied for 7.5 years with his, because yoga has sort of been pushed out and became isolated into Tibet, and it was no longer in India. Krishnamacharya got this thing, and after 7 years his guru says, now you must go and tell the public about this and teach the world, because it is the necessary response to grace. Then you can make use of Ramana or Shirdi Sai Baba or Patrick O'Connor or Adidas Samraj. Then a yogic response to what has been recognized. It only has to be recognized once. You know, in Vaishnavism it's called the words escape me. It's like prapiti or something like that. Prabhati. It's a one time. You see God and you give up. It's a one-time surrender. You don't surrender again and again and again. It's just one time. You do it once. Prapati. That's what it's called. You see Krishna? Oh, okay. It's all over. You see your guru? It's all over. Finished. You and the guru is one thing, not two things. It's you have a relationship with guru. And the same with Christ. You know, like Christianity is a completely legit guru culture. You meet Christ, oh, thank you, Lord. I've got it. I got this. Finished. Done. But not after that the religious game of trying to re-realize it as if you're separate, because we're not separate. This separate person doesn't exist. It's only thought structures in the head that thinks that you're a separate person that has to get enlightened. Please. That person isn't there. It's not there. It's really not. There's nobody there that has to get enlightened. This body over there, picking on this body, is that there, that body sitting, is that the power of the cosmos that sits there? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you sure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Is that body the cosmos? Yes or no?
Yes.
Is that body the power of the cosmos?
Yes.
Thank you. So that question goes. Of you a separate person that has to get enlightened through meditation or whatever the method. It's completely gone now. Is that power of the cosmos, like, do we really agree that's the power of the cosmos sitting there? That body is the cosmos. Is that body arising as a pure intelligence?
Yep.
So far we've got you are the power of the cosmos. And this is not a spiritual statement. It's not a Rumi poem. It's a fact. A scientific fact. Right. Is that body in harmony with its own context? And that's, the earth realm with air and light and water and the green realm. The body is in harmony, isn't it? With air. Like, please think it through. Is that body in harmony with air?
Yeah.
Is that body in harmony with light? Another question. Is that the beauty of the cosmos sitting there?
Yeah.
You've noticed that everything in the natural realm is utter beauty, isn't it? And like a leaf, the light on the water. And are you prepared to admit that you are of the natural realm? Right. So there is no question of you having to do anything on yourself. Can you see that religious culture, even the most sophisticated, refined, I don't know, Buddhism or Vedanta or whatever, is creating in your thought structures a person that has to get there? That can now go. Done. It's finished for you. If you met Ramana, if you were here in his lifetime, you go and there'd be, thank you, I got it, thanks, I love you, thanks, in relationship with, that's it, over. From Krishnamacharya's perspective, his scholarship, not a viewpoint, not his idea, but in the scholarship of Vedanta and Veda that went before that he was saying to you, now do yoga. Actually and naturally and non-obsessively, not trying to get, you're finished with this trying to get somewhere, because there's nobody there. And if you think there's somebody there and you make a bit of progress, then you really get messed up. If you had a few samadhis, then you want it again and again, like drug addiction. Or if our spiritual successes mainly result in the presumption of failure after that, because you're not up to it. You're not enlightened. Right? So I really do advise you to be finished with it. The paradox is, I'm saying, then you really have access to Ramana or whoever your Ishtaguru yoga is, whoever your Ishtaguru, your chosen deity, whoever that is. It could be the mountain, it could be a person, it could be a deity, it could be your own mother, whoever you choose as your, in the profound relationship of two people in realization, two people in God. It gives you access to that actual relationship and doesn't turn it into a seeking towards a future result. Trying to make something happen, trying to get somewhere, is denying what is already here. It's a very clear formula to understand in there. It's over for you, finished. You're done. You're the power of the cosmos arising as pure intelligence, unspeakable beauty, extraordinary energy. Is that body over there extraordinary energy happening? Is it or isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no question of making energy happen. Raising the kundalini or something. No question, right? And this she is in, she who's known as she, the power of the cosmos, is in perfect harmony with the earth realm and the total galaxy, the total cosmos. Wouldn't you say? Do I have your agreement on that? Good. Now you do a little bit of yoga every day. That's all searchless yoga. So that's what Krishnamacharya brought to this culture here, this culture of liberation, the culture of moksha, that has deep ancient roots in India, in South India, all of India, but in South India they have their own cultural, the Vaishnavas and the Siddhas and the Sri Vidya tantrikas, yeah. Bring the yoga into that, the good company of the realizers. Then you're safe. Then you stop seeking for a future result that is civilization in all aspects, not just religion. We're all looking for a future result that is denying, therefore, what I am, what is here, as you and me and the trees and the bees, perfectly happening. See? So enlightenment is out the window. The distinction between the enlightened person and the unenlightened person, that's out the window too. There's a certain obsession that was going on here after Ramana and the various gurus that came up and all the Westerners, this whole obsession of who's enlightened and who's not enlightened. It's crazy talk. Who can give satsang and who can't? It's crazy. Yeah. And then people giving out enlightenment like a bag full of lollies. You're enlightened, you can go back to your country and be a guru. You know, it causes such havoc in the people. Such confusion for the guru who's doing that, or the person that thinks they're the guru, and then to the people who respond to that. It's such confusion. What I've seen, there's no education in it, in this matter. And I'm here very gratefully to Christine as a student of Krishnamacharya, saying seriously into the world, this is what Rama Mohan Brahmacharya of Tibet said to Krishnamacharya, go and bring this yoga to the world, because from Veda and Vedanta, Ramanujacharya, yoga is needed if anyone has been inspired or given grace by any authentic realizer. You need this yoga. And what he got there in his yoga scholarship was not just for the north or the south, it was for all of the Indian society, all of it, Buddhist, Hindu, Jainism, anything. And he got it and synthesized it down and worked it out and how to adapt it to the individual according to the age and the health and the cultural background of the person. You know, adapt the yoga to the individual. Don't adapt the individual to the yoga. See, I feel that's what's sort of going on in these, you know, you're trying to adapt a person to the enlightenment idea. It'll never happen. It'll only cause confusion. Yeah. Okay. There's one last thing to say, I would like to say that I've noticed, because we're staying in the south. We moved a little away from Arunachala. And we're looking back from the southern perspective. And Christine pointed this out to me. I don't know when it happened, but it's happened that this whole landform on Arunachala, I beg you to go and have a look at it. Go south and look back at it. And there's a huge vagina formed on the mountain. Well, we want to say keep it polite, but I wanted the plain language. Oh, okay, so Rosalind's always fixing up the mistakes and the
When
fact.
we met, I said, Mark, I loved your book so much, but it had a lot of typos.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but ladies and gentlemen, on Arunachala, a yoni has been formed. And it is unbelievable.
It's very striking.
It's the form, when you look at a photograph of a woman's yoni, there's, you know, it's got certain curvature to it, it's got a depth, it's got interior depth, and it changes in shades and colors, and it's sort of like a flame. It's like a flame on from the base to the top of Arunachala. And this is, of course, it's a divine event. You know, it's God's work. You know how the weather people saying it. You know, it's God caused. You know, there's floods in New Zealand right now. It's God. So just from a natural perspective, God has put this yoni on the mountain. But it also has a divine implication because it is Arunachala. And it cannot be denied any longer. And I say, are the public talking about this? Is it a subject that the gurus and pundits are discussing? Some. Okay. Good. Well, I want to discuss it. Because in summary, I was saying there's a cultural fault in trying to get to Shiva without Shakti. There's a cultural fault in the idea of enlightenment and God realization without Shakti. There's a cultural fault in the idea that the world is a dream and it's not really there. I'd like to go further into it. There's a cultural fault in the idea that everything is consciousness and that's all there is. Because I'm saying to you, you are there. This tangible you, flesh and blood, is there for me. I am here and you are there. It's true that we are one because the cosmos is a unitary movement and that is all there is, right? The cosmos is a unity energy and that's all there is. But here I am sitting here in my uniqueness and you are sitting there in your uniqueness. Tangible. This railing is there, that bamboo tree is there, those trees over there are there. Tangible reality. Now I want to tell you, my guru statement to me is that what you see is reality and the only reality. This earth realm and the trees and the mountains and the lakes and the people and the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, tangible conditions, including this body, your body, is there and is reality itself. I'm wondering if you're willing to flip this Vedantic idea that the world's not real. The world is a dream. Because the yoni is there on the mountain. And what is the implication of that?
A new time has come.
Yes, the Shakti cannot be denied. The form and visibility of Shiva cannot be denied. And you see, among the South Indian siddhas, very firm, you can confirm it being an authentic Indian, that you get to Shiva via Shakti. You can't go straight to Shiva. You have to, she invites you. There's even a mantra, Om Shri Shivaya, Nama, she who is Shiva. And she who is Shiva has appeared on the mountain. I'm telling you, it's happened. And she is the visible form. You know, they call it Prakriti, but the Samkhya has divided Purusha and Prakriti and caused this whole misery for humanity. The Purusha and Prakriti are one thing, not two things. There's no conquering the woman to get to Shiva. There's no conquering visibility. It's all a dream. It's just so confusing to people. You're here and I'm here, and the floor, the concrete is here. The plants are here, the air is here, the light is here. If I look at you, consciousness perceives you, right? But that movement of consciousness perceiving you is one thing, one movement, one energy is happening there. From the yoga, how do you realize that everything is consciousness? By being intimate with everything. By being intimate with all tangible conditions. Starting with my own body and breath, that's essential. That's yoga. My own body and breath, and then my consciousness, and by that I realize that the body is consciousness. Doing a yoga practice, inhale, exhale, the mind is linked to that movement. Therefore, the mind is linked to breath. The mind is linked to the whole body. As we discussed, the whole body is the power of the cosmos. So it's revealed to me and to you that this body is consciousness. But then this consciousness looks at you and sees you as one movement, one energy. I embrace you. And I'm not talking romantic sexual embrace. I'm talking about just being with my own tangible relatedness to tangible experience. Trees, birds, earth realm of every aspect. Stars and sun and moon and woman. Consciousness and the object of consciousness is one thing, not two things. Therefore, I realize that you are consciousness. In time, I realize everything is consciousness. And the mind is going like a radiant flower in all directions, like this. The mind is, it's like the mind is like ligaments, like connective tissue. And the mind, by the way, is not just above the head. The mind is the spine. The mind is the nervous system of the whole body. And I see you. It's one thing happening. The mind is this connective, the evolutionary biology of the human species. It's a wonderful thing. It's not a problem. Mind is for this participation in the one movement of energy that is me and my perception of my object. And finally, it's all objects. It's the mountain, it's all objects everywhere. The mind is going like this to all objects synchronistically all the time for all of us. Beautiful mind. Thank God for mind. You couldn't walk along the path without mind. You couldn't feed yourself without mind. There's no problem to it. Even in yoga, there's this thing about you can choose your direction. I can choose you to be with. Well, how wonderful. It doesn't deny all other directions. So that is meditation. Meditation is to merge with the tangible objects of your experience, starting with your body and breath. That is meditation. The meditation that has been popularized by the heavy weight of Buddhism and mindfulness and all of that is to reside as awareness, to reside as consciousness to all arising conditions until there is only consciousness is realized. And all conditions are seen to be flimsy nothing of a dream. Is everybody all right with that? Yoga goes in the opposite direction, to embrace you as a tangible light. First my body, which is the power of the cosmos happening. And I find this completely integral and dovetailing very nicely with what I heard from one teacher here yesterday, who is Patrick, that spirit and material are one thing, not two things. And that's what I felt he was teaching. And I just know that this yoga, if practiced, is the practical response to that teaching that's happening there. The yoga is the union of consciousness with all material objects arising. But we put in very plainly that the tangible objects of your experience are reality, is reality. And please don't be seduced by enlightenment. and seduced by this thing, this idea that the world is not real. You know, including the bullshit that's happening. Sorry, it's real. I'm sorry, Trump is real. It is happening. And there should be a response, a practical response to that fact that's occurring. But, you know, my wife Rosalind is real, and there should be a practical response.
No one else can see me.
That is this, the yogic life of intimacy with body and breath. Thank you. She's got a date. She took me seriously. And she arranged a date at 7:30. Thank you so much. To come to this, okay, everything is real. In yoga, everything is sat, everything is the truth. Everything you see is reality. All objects are real. The trees are real, the mountains are real. It is my relatedness, including my guru relationship, my connection there to you and the mountain and Ramana is what's real. Or your relationship to plants, food, animals, human and non-human animals. What's happening is the spiritual life. Not the attempt to reside as consciousness relative to all materiality. That is a dissociation from materiality in which we never realize consciousness. It's a hopeless attempt. As I said before, trying to duplicate the state of Ramana is a hopeless attempt. It doesn't work. Yoga is needed. It's true to say that if I go into satsang with Gangama or somebody and I look upon the person who is unobstructed in any way in body and mind from the power of the cosmos, that happened, it's somehow happened as a fluke for her, or she loved Ramana and so it happened. It can happen, but it is completely causeless and random and rare. For us ordinary people, if we meet Gangama or Patrick O'Connor or Ramana or Shirdi Sai Baba, even Satya Sai Baba, he was a dude, he was groovy, you know. And okay, now I do my yoga, and that's it. Because I'm in relationship with my guru. And this relationship, it's a love relationship that cannot be measured. There's no states of getting closer or further away. That's all an illusion of mind. All right. Are we good? Yes.
Maybe a way to say it a little different, which might not come in opposition to what you said. It's like a dreamlike experience happening in reality. I like to because it's not affecting reality. So it's not, there is a war, it's happening in reality.
I don't know
it's
what.
It's a little bit different, but I prefer to see it like that. Is it going in opposition
No.
with what you said?
No, I'm saying everything that you see is as it is. The vulgar and the beauty. And it's not to be measured. The word Maya means measure. You cannot measure it. Like, what is a tree? If without labels, without knowledge, what is a tree? You know? All right, so listen, please, I need to give you a little 10-minute practice that you'll put in your pocket and do tomorrow morning. Please,
Yes, please.
go to your mat.
Yeah, Matt. You're going to give a 10-minute practice?
Yes,
Good.
please.